They arrive in Dubai, they keep their passport, and then they're forced to work in a massage parlor to offer like sex services, and basically they're a sex slave in Dubai.
Behind the glittering towers of Dubai hides a reality too dark for the tourist brochures to show. Dubai is known for its skyscrapers, shopping malls, and luxury lifestyle. But beyond the glamorous skyline lies Sonapur, a hidden world where thousands of migrant workers fight daily for survival. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because Dubai isn't just one city, it's two. The one you see on Instagram, the spotless streets, the world's tallest skyscraper, beaches that look straight out of a postcard. That's the Dubai everyone wants you to believe in. The city of the future, as they call it. One wrong turn and bam, the fantasy pops like a cheap balloon. Forget the glittery floors and those ridiculous gold-plated Lambos. Now you're looking at cramped, falling apart shacks, dudes passed out, six to a room, sweating buckets all night. Welcome to Sonapur. Kinda nuts, honestly. The same folks who pieced together the Burj Khalifa. They're scraping by, barely able to buy a decent meal, practically in the shadow of all that luxury. Dubai loves to show off its rich people's paradise thing. But let's be real, most visitors never see what's hiding behind all those flashy lights. Let's get real for a second. Dubai isn't just some random city someone decided to drop in the middle of a giant sandbox. Nope. It's camped out right at the southeastern edge of the Persian Gulf, dead center in the Arabian Desert's blast furnace. And yeah, it's toasty, but that's kind of the point. Dubai's basically the ultimate layover spot connecting Europe, Asia, and Africa all at once. It's like an airport, but the whole city, glitzy, sweaty, and always on. Wild fact, Dubai's not even the capital. That's Abu Dhabi, playing it cool in the background while Dubai's out there stealing the scene and blowing up your social feed. So, let's bounce back in time for a second. Dubai wasn't always this glitter-bombed metropolis you see on TikTok. Picture a scruffy fishing village, boats made of wood barely holding it together, pearl divers risking it all for what? A few shiny shells? Merchants are grinding it out in cramped little markets. It was humble, heck, probably exhausting. Fast forward to 1966, and boom, oil pops up in the Fateh field, like 120 kilometers offshore. Suddenly, cash starts raining down. Dubai goes from desert snooze fest to money magnet overnight. But here's the twist. Instead of just sitting around building oil castles, Dubai's leaders got way smarter about it. They realized that the ill party had an expiration date, so they switched gears. Big time. Pushed into trade, banking, tourism, all that good stuff. That's why Dubai now screams mega malls, Emirates jets, hotels that look straight out of sci-fi, and those skyscrapers that make you wonder if you're still on Earth. Not a single oil rig in that mental picture, right? And here's where the shine starts to crack. Dubai grew fast, too fast. Billions were poured into building things that dazzled the eye, but the basics, they were left behind. Take this for example. While the skyline shot up with world records, tallest buildings, biggest malls, the sewage system couldn't even keep up. For years, literal convoys of tanker trucks had to line up just to haul waste out of the city because underground infrastructure wasn't built. Even today, the full sewage system isn't expected to be completed until 2025. Can you imagine? A futuristic city that couldn't handle its own waste. And the cost didn't stop there. Between 2002 and 2018, desertification swallowed up 56% of Dubai's arable land. Over half of its farmland has been gone in just 16 years. Meanwhile, the population exploded, from 1 million in 2004 to over 3.3 million by 2019. That meant more mouths to feed, more water to consume, and a growing dependency on imports. So while Dubai's skyline grew taller, its foundations grew weaker. A city that looked bulletproof on the outside was already struggling to keep its own people fed and its ground fertile. Man, Dubai's wild. Locals? Practically an endangered species. Seriously, more than 90% of the 3.3 million people crammed into this sand-dusted metropolis are from somewhere else. India, the Philippines, Nigeria, you name it. Everyone's chasing the Dubai dream, hoping to score big or at least snag a steady paycheck. You get this crazy mashed up culture, shawarma joints next to sushi spots, Russian models strutting past Pakistani tailors. Islam's still king here, though. You'll hear the call to prayer echoing off the Burj Khalifa, and there's no getting around the social rules. But, and here's the kicker, all that glitz? It's kind of built on a pyramid of inequality. The world sees the shiny stuff, Lambos, malls bigger than airports, skyscrapers slicing clouds. But behind the curtain, someone's mopping the marble floors, usually for peanuts. The city's diversity is real, but so is the gap between who enjoys it and who just keeps the lights on. This is something about Sonapur. The name means city of gold, but the one who gave it such a name really must have had a sick sense of humor. Sonapur is the place where migrant workers are kept beyond the malls and the Instagram skyline. Forget gold. Think rows and rows of tightly packed dormitories with rusty bunk beds and a heat so oppressive that by noon, you feel like your brain is melting away. There are about 8, 10, or even 15 guys in one room, hacking away with one barely functioning bathroom. Privacy? None whatsoever. Perhaps a curtain and maybe a pair of flip-flops provide the only insulation from your neighbor. Meanwhile, the Atlantis residents or the Armani hotel guests would never set foot over there unless they were lost. Wildly speaking, these workers actually built all those glories of luxury, brick by brick, and now life for them looks more like survival than the Dubai dream that people see on TikTok. 2 cities and only one gets into the postcard. The journey into this hidden world often begins thousands of miles away. Recruitment agencies in South Asia, particularly India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and the Philippines, paint Dubai as a dreamland of opportunity. They promise good pay, free housing, and medical insurance. Families back home often sell land or borrow money to cover recruitment fees, believing the sacrifice will be worth it. But once workers arrive, the dream shatters. Passports are confiscated, freedom vanishes, and they are transported directly to Sonapur. Cut off from the city they built, they become trapped in a cycle of debt and dependency. With no documents, no mobility, and no way to return home, many endure what can only be described as modern slavery, hidden beneath Dubai's glowing skyline. And here's where it gets truly suffocating. The moment these workers set foot in Dubai, they lose many of the rights they had back home. Employers hold on to their passports, stripping them of the freedom to leave or even move around. If someone loses their job, they only get 30 days to find another, or they face deportation. That ticking clock traps people into whatever work they can get, often under exploitative conditions. The cycle is brutal. Fear of being sent home, debt piling up, no safety net. It's desperation dressed as opportunity. And the worst part? For many, there's literally no choice but to endure. You start wondering, how can anyone survive mentally in a system designed like this? Let me tell you, the math just doesn't add up for most of these workers. A cleaner, for instance, earns around 800 dirhams a month. That's about $200. Sounds okay at first glance, right? But a tiny studio apartment rents for 1,500 to 4,000 dirhams. So what do? Share space. On average, 5 to 15 men cram into a single small room just to make ends meet. Even after sending more than half their wages home to support families, they're left juggling rent, food, and transport. Many fall into debt just to survive while holding on to the hope that someday this sacrifice will pay off. It's a grind that never seems to end. And then there's the reality of where they actually live. These labor camps are small, barely 10 square meters, but they cram 10 to 15 workers inside. Kitchens and toilets are shared and often dirty, and maintenance is minimal at best. Air conditioning exists, but more often than not, it barely works in 50-degree heat. Many have to rely on buckets for bathing. The structures themselves were built without proper oversight, were unsafe, and were prone to failure. And yet these are considered adequate accommodations. It's a daily fight for hygiene, sleep, and personal space, luxuries we take for granted in a modern city. What's crazy is that the workers themselves often built many of these structures, maintaining them on their own. Now imagine all of this stacked together. No freedom, no privacy, constant heat, and long, exhausting workdays. The isolation eats away at the mind. Without passports or money, there's no escape. Many fall into apathy. Depression and anxiety become everyday companions. Some even contemplate suicide. Dreams of prosperity and sending money home slowly dissolve into a monotonous cycle of survival. The hope that once shone like Dubai's skyline turns into a shadow that weighs on body and spirit. And yet they keep going, because giving up isn't an option. This part of the story is invisible to most tourists, but it's the backbone of the city they come to admire. And here's the cruel irony. While workers scrape by in these conditions, Dubai parades extreme wealth for the world to see. Mansions, supercars, sprawling malls, gold-plated everything. It's a spectacle of excess. And for most people enjoying the city's glamour, the human cost behind the skyscrapers remains invisible. The very hands that built this paradise live in what feels like a prison. Every shining tower is a reminder that luxury for a few exists on the suffering of many. It's uncomfortable, and you can't look away. Here's something wild that never makes it onto the glossy brochures. Dubai's got these zones, like Sonapur, where outsiders aren't exactly welcome. And by outsiders, I mean basically anyone not living and working there. The authorities? Yeah, they keep a tight lid on who gets in. Tourists? You're steered toward the blinding malls and hotel lobbies, not the rows of battered housing where thousands of workers crash after brutal shifts. The split is unreal. One minute you're gawking at fountains and gold-plated everything, and the next minute, if you wander too far, you hit this wall of reality. Cramped rooms, broken fans, and lives jammed together and hidden in plain sight. It's like the city's got a whole secret level nobody wants you to see. Sonapur isn't just some blip on the map. It's the quiet backbone propping up the whole shiny show. Kind of grim, but Dubai's jaw-dropping skyline? The fancy brunches? None of it exists without these workers busting their backs behind the scenes, invisible as ghosts. They're out there pouring concrete, scrubbing hotel toilets, and keeping the lights on, while barely scraping by. Makes you wonder, honestly, will their stories ever make it onto the postcards? Or do they just stay locked away like a dirty secret? Every time a new 5-star tower goes up, there's a story behind it, usually paid for in sweat, exhaustion, and dreams that never leave those shadowy corners. Dubai's brilliance dazzles the world, but behind its glittering facade lies a truth too dark to ignore. Sonapur's silence reminds us that the luxury of a few is built on the sacrifice of many. So what's your take on this? Drop it in the comments, and if you enjoyed this, hit like and subscribe. More eye-opening stories are coming your way.